Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you're watching this video. This is Mr. Connolly. Today in this mini section I'm going to take you through converting binary into decimal. Okay, so our key objective is to be able to understand how computer systems use the binary number system, and our outcome for this session is to be able to convert from binary into decimal. Okay, before we start, we need to think about how we use number systems in our everyday lives. So what I've done here is I've written the number 9,898. Now I've written this in what we call decimal, which is the number system we use in our everyday lives. And then I've also written the number in binary. So this number here, 100110101011010, it's very long, is actually 9,898 as if we'd written it in binary. Now, to understand how this works and to make the connection between the two, we need to look at the number system's heading. So in decimal, this is the number system we use every day, we split our numbers up as following. So we have, first of all, our 1 column, okay, and in this column we can represent any number from 0 to 9. Okay, so 10 characters. In this next one, sorry about that. In this next one, we represent our tens. Okay, so if we just imagine these two aren't here currently, we've got the number 98. Okay, so our tens column. We've then got our hundreds column. So if we add this in, we've now got 898. And then in our final column, we've got our thousands. So we've got 9,898. Okay, now in this binary number, remembering they're exactly the same value, but this time we're using binary which is to the base 2. So in this one we always went up by 10. So in decimal it's 1 times 10 is 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is 1,000. In this one we're going to go up by 2 each time. So we always start at 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16, 16 times 2 is 32, so on and so forth. So we're always going up by 2, all the way up to represent 9,898, we're going up to 8,192. Okay, now, this, you can see in the heading, is this. But we need to understand how. So before we can do this, we want to go through a little bit of an explanation about what number systems are and the difference between binary and decimal. So, binary business. The binary number system is the primary language of computers. It's represented as ones and zeros. Okay? Now, people often ask me, how can a computer understand a 1 and a 0, but how can't it understand the numbers that we use every day? And the answer is simple. Okay? The computer doesn't see a physical 1, a physical 0. What it sees is, when there's a 1, there's an electric pulse. When there's a 0, there's no electric pulse. So by using the binary number system, we can represent, okay, numbers using electricity. Okay, so just remember that electric pulse means a 1, no pulse means a 0. Now, binary is known also as the base 2, and if you remember what I just went with you through previously, the reason is because our columns always go up by 2. Okay. Now, normally we use base 10, which is decimal. Okay, or you might also hear of it mentioned being called denary. Okay. Now, in binary, there's 2 digits, a 1 and a 0. In decimal, there's 10 digits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. Okay. So, what we need to talk about now is what's a byte. Now, if you hear the word byte, and you might hear byte mentioned a lot around computers, a byte is simply a binary number. Okay? Now, you might also hear the term bit, and a bit is simply one binary character, so it can be either a 1 or a 0. If we have a 4-bit byte, okay, that means our binary number will have 4 characters. If we have an 8-bit byte, that means our binary number will have 8 characters. Okay, now let's just go through some examples here. So in this binary number, we've got the number 1, and this is, if you remember what I've just said, it's an 8-bit byte, okay, because there's 8 binary bits. So if we go through this, we've got 1, 2, we've got 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0. So if we work out what that is, when we work out the number, we only need to add up the columns where there's a 1. So in this one, there's only a 1 in the 128 and the 8 column. So if we need to work out the number 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, all we need to do is add 128 because there's a 1 in the column, and 8 because there's a 1 in the column. We can ignore all the ones where there's a 0, so we get 128, add 8, okay, because they're the only ones where the 1 appears, and that would give us an answer 136. Okay, now if we want to just have a look at one more example, let's break it down into a 4-bit byte. This would be the number 10. Okay, so we've got 1, 0, 0, 0. So remember, we only add up the columns where there's a 1. Uh-oh. Am I correct? Did any of you spot the deliberate mistake? Because if it's going to be the number 10, we'd also need to have a 1 in the 2 column. Okay, so 10 in binary would be 1, 0, 1, 0. Remember, all we need to do is add up the columns where there's a 1, and we know that 8 add 2 is 10. Okay, so what I suggest you do now, okay, we're going to have a go at some examples. Okay, so you're going to have a go at these examples that I've just put up. What I'd like you to write down on your piece of paper for each attempt, I want you to write down the binary headings as follows. Okay, now for this one, you are going to need to add in, okay, or actually no, you might, yeah, sorry, for this one, you are going to actually have to add in an additional column. But just remember, the next column, it would just double this, so it'd be 256. Okay, then the next one will be 512, and so on and so forth. Okay, now when you write these in, okay, so you've wrote out your columns like this, you're going to write this first one in to do, you're going to write, always start off with this 1 in the rightmost column. So this first one, when you write 101, we'll go 1, 0, 1, because the rightmost 1 always goes in the 1 column. Okay, so what I want you to do now is I want you to pause the video and have a go at answering each of these. When you've finished, I'll go through the answers with you. Okay, hopefully you've done those tasks now and you've unpaused the video. So what I'm going to go through is with the answers. Now, a classic mistake that people make with this is that they'll start writing the numbers out at the wrong end. Remember, this one, the rightmost 1, always needs to go in the 1 column. So the first one should have been 5. Give yourself a tick if you got that. Your second one should have been 19. Your third one should have been 53. The fourth one should have been 139. And the final one should have been 427. Okay, so give yourself a mark out of 5. If you've struggled and you've got them wrong, what I suggest you do is you rewind this video back to the start, okay, and have another go at it. Okay, see you next time. Goodbye.